So we've studied yesterday error and bugs, and I told you what's the difference between error and bug?
Error you can see, but
Yeah, so an error, we can see it in our console. In our console, for example, if I go to my console, as you can see, it's say uncode error, reference error. So we see the error in our console. A bug, we don't see anything in our console. Our code is working, but the problem is not working as we want to. So in general, error are easy to fix. Why? Because I just can click on this one and it will directly take me to the error. So it's simple. It's not that complex. Some of them are nasty, but you can fix them easily. But when it comes to bugs, you don't know what's the problem. And you need here to go through your code to try to guess, try to debug until you find the bug. Is the idea clear for everyone? Okay. Now, what I didn't teach you yesterday here is this actually, sometimes we describe the error. And describing the error, that means we provide some information about the error. Why? What's the reason? Why do we provide this information? First information is the environment. We say Chrome, because we are using local Chrome or Chrome. So why do we need this information? Why they are useful for us as a developer? Can anyone tell me? I've told you the answer before.
browser
Exactly, because this error may differ from one browser to another. They slightly differ from one browser to another. There is a reason why I'm asking you to use Chrome, because the majority of the developer use Chrome. And in Chrome, the error, it will be the same. But if you try to use Firefox or another browser, the error may change sometime. And that's the reason here we need to provide some data or some information about the error. The first information, which is quite important, as you can see, it's environment. The environment is which browser you are using. Are you using Chrome? Are you using Firefox? Are you using Edge? Blah, blah, blah. We ask all the time we are using Chrome. The second error here, what's the name of the error? Be careful because this is important. I will go to the error here. And now if I go to the error, what is the name of the error?
reference error.
Exactly. So the name of the error is reference error. That's the name of the error. That's good. So reference error, what is the message? Well, the message is here. Wealth is not defined. So that's the name of the error. So we have syntax error, we have reference error, we have a lot of different errors. So that's the name of the error. And after that, that's the message. Wealth is not defined. Okay, fine. Then after that, what do we need to do here? Where is the location? At which line? Well, it's quite simple. Notice here, we see here 20, right? So here is the number of the line where the error exists. So if I click on this one, it will take me directly to 20, as you can see. Or I even don't need to click on it. Directly, I can see the number 20 here, and I know the error as number 20. Is the idea clear? Or even you can look here, also we have 20. Now the first number here is the number of the line. Here is the number of character. Ignore this one, but 20, that's important, the first number. So now we know what is the environment. Now we know what is the name of the error. Now we know what is the message. And also what do we know? We know what is the line here or the location of the error. That should be simple. After that here, life cycles. So what the hell is life cycle? Now, program life cycle, normally we have two life cycle. We have creation phase and we have execution phase. What's the difference between the two? Now, from the name creation phase, that's mean JavaScript engine try to create, okay, try to go through my code, try to create my program. But if it fail, that means you see nothing in the console. This console.log here in execution phase, you will not see it. There is a reason why we put this console.log here. What is the reason? Well, the reason is if it's execution phase, you will see console.log here. Why? Because execution, that means my JavaScript engine, it will try to execute my code. It comes to the first line, it parse it, it executed, go to the third line, it executed, and after that, when it comes to line 20, then the error happened. So that's during the execution phase. Is it quite clear, execution phase? So execution phase, that means my program, my JavaScript engine goes through my program, finish the first line, second line, after that encounters the error. But creation phase, it's different. That means you will see directly the error in your console and you will see nothing. Nothing of your code will be executed, nothing at all. Because it tried to create your program, it cannot create your program. That's why we call it creation phase. And there is a reason why you do console.log here. If you see console.log, that means it is execution phase. Why? Because simply JavaScript come to the first line, which is use strict, execute it, go to the second line, or the third line, do console.log. I see the console.log, then we encounter an error. And as you can see, we have in execution phase. So the reason why we say it's in execution phase, because some line being executed and then it stop encounter an error. So it's execution phase. But if you don't see this console.log, that means it is creation phase. Is the idea clear? Most of the error are execution. Sometimes it happen in creation. For example, if it cannot recognize with where is your JavaScript file, it cannot find it, something like that. But most of the error should be execution phase. Is the idea clear? What's the difference between execution and creation phase? Rachel?
Yes, I understand.
Adil? From the name, don't make it complex. Creation means it tried to create your program, but it failed. Execution means it executes some code, but after that it encounters the error. Is it quite clear somewhere for everyone? That's good. Okay, fine. So we know what the life cycle is, either execution or creation. What is a mistake? Well, the mistake is simple. That is my mistake here. So the mistake is wolf is not defined. That's a mistake because we did not define this one. Declare variable wolf. So undeclare, sorry. So the mistake was I'm using a variable here at line 20, but I did not declare it. That's a mistake. The mistake, you need to write it in your own sentence. So what's the problem with line 20? I'm using a variable without declaring using const or let. We can use that, but I told you that's a really bad way. You cannot use that. Either we're going to use const or let. We're not going to use var. We're not going to just write the name of the variable, either const or let. So here, it's undeclared variable. We did not declare it. What is the fix or the fixes? So fix mean it may be one problem or multiple problem you can fix. That's why I add ES here. Well, I just need to declare the variable. How can I declare the variable? Well, I will look, am I changing the value of this variable? No, so I can just say const. Well, simple, and I fix the error. If I go to my browser here and refresh, voila, no problem. Is the idea clear? Do you understand now what is the error description? If you describe an error, how can you describe it? Voila. I will repeat it very quickly. I'll make the error again so we can see it. So normally we describe error with some information. Why? Because the error, they can differ sometimes from one browser to another. So it's a good idea to document or describe the error. How can I describe the error? Well, we have this one, which is first called environment. Environment, simply, it's your browser. Are you using Chrome or Firefox, blah, blah, blah? But for us, we are using Chrome. Second one, what is the name of the error? It's simple. You just go here. It's a reference error or a syntax error, or we have a lot of different errors. That's the name of the error. What is the message? Well, simple. After dot here or after column, that's the message. That's fine. Which line? Quite simple. I can look here, it's 20, or I can click on it and go here and see it's 20. Fine. Which life cycle is? Well, which life cycle is quite simple. You can just say console.log at the top, put console.log at the top. If the console.log show in my console, that means it is an execution phase. If it's not, that means it is creation phase. And here I see, let's go. I have console.log actually. So it is must be execution phase. That's good. What's the mistake was? Well, we are using a variable or we are using undeclared variable. Okay. What is the solution, the fix? Well, I just need to declare the variable. So all I have to do here, I just add const or let. I'm not changing the value of the variable. So it would be better as we agreed to use const. Voila. Is it quite simple? Clear for everyone? Perfect. So that's what we called error or bugs. Did you finish error and bugs, the example, everything? Okay, now try to finish the error and bugs today. If you have more time, you can go back here to what is programming. I think you finished it, but in case you didn't finish it, just enough JavaScript. Try to finish this one, understand program, and you can go through it. And of course, if you have a question, you can ask me. For next, for tomorrow, after tomorrow, we will study just the 3 coming days. We'll just study also writing and reviewing program, which is nothing actually, just how to write a program and someone can review your code. So it's not complex. As we'll explain this one as well for you during the 3 coming days. One of these days, I'm just going to explain it. And then you need to do the exercises here, which is not a lot. And after that, I'm expecting from you also to finish, understand programming and develop programming. And if everything is done, I will give you a small project, which will be a calculator. We will use only JavaScript. Or if you like, we can use also HTML, CSS, and JavaScript if you like. But here you will need to deal with the DOM. Still, we don't know how to deal with the DOM, so I will help you. Don't worry about the DOM part. I will help you. Is the idea clear? Perfect. Question? Something not clear question? Okay. So you're with me, all of you, right? So I have now my browser here is on, as you can see in my index.html, and I have my test here. So first, what are loops? We need to understand what loops are. So loops, if I have some piece of code, I want to repeat it, do the same code, execute it again and again and again and again. It's not smart just to add the same code again and again. That's not the right coding. That's really bad way. So in order to avoid this repetition in my code, I can use loops. So what loops are doing? They're just doing the same job. They are executing the same code again and again and again. That's nice. That's very nice. But what type of loop do we have? The most famous loop, which is the for loop. Now, the for loop here, you need to understand, Samuel, it has a structure. You need to understand what the structure is going on. Now, for example, let's say I want to, let's say I have some friends. I have 10 friends, for example, so I can just create an array. You don't know array now, just ignore it. So const, I can say friend, friends like that. Friend, is friend correct? No, friends. And I can say my friend here, it's Mitchell, Steven, and Peter. Those are my friends. This is array, we're gonna study it, but just now what I wanna do, I want to send an email to my friend here, and I will tell them, for example, please come to my birthday, for example. I just need a letter. Now, either I'm gonna write the letter 3 times because there are 3 friends, or I can use a loop for that. But how can I use the loop? Well, it's quite simple. I can just say const. Now, in the loop here, the structure of the loop is always you need to starting point. You need to tell the loop where it should start. And here in my loop, I'm telling my loop start from 0. Start from 0. Most of the time we start from 0. If sometimes you can start from other number, but most of the time you start from 0. And that's the reason why I say let I is equal to 0. As long and here the second part, it will be my condition. How many times do I want this loop to go? Well, I want this loop to go until my friends links. Friends links, that means how many friends here in this array? How many friends do we have? 3. That means as long as I less than 3, okay? As long as I less than 3, I want this loop to run. Remember, I is 0. That means 0, it will be 1 time. 1, it will be 1 time. 2, it will be 2 times, as you can see. And of course, when it becomes 3, it will not run. Why? Because 3 is not less than 3. How many times my loop run? 3 times. 0, 1, and 2. Okay, fine.
معلشكم.
I'm sorry. Okay, fine. It's fine. Now, after that, here, this one, it will be the increment or decrement. I need either to increment I or decrement I by 1. Either I need to say I plus 1 or I minus 1. But here, now, if I say I minus 1 here, as you can see, I is 0. So if I say minus 1, it will be 0, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4. It will never, ever, ever, it will be, yeah, this condition, it will be always true because all the time it will be less than 3, right? So this one, it will be an infinite loop. That's the reason why I need to say I plus plus. So I will increment it. If I now I is 0. If I increment it, it will be 1. If I increment it again, it will be 2. If I increment it again, it will be 3. 3 is not less than 3, and this loop will stop. So that's the structure of the loop. And of course, to access the name of the friend, we will learn this one when we study arrays. It's just the name of the array, and then we use the bracket and the I here, we call it the index. Don't worry about the index. The index here, it just starts from 0. All the time in programming, we start from 0. That means Michael, his index is 0. Stephen, his index is 1. Peter, his index is 2. And now, if I go to my program here, and I refresh, voila, Michael, Stephen, Peter. But what I can do here, not just like that, I can just put my message now. I can write my message if I want to. So I can just use the backtick like that. And because this is a variable, I need to put it inside a $sign, curly brace, and here curly brace, because it's a variable. And here I can say hello. Hello. That's the name of my friend. and then I can just make a new line. You are invited, for example, you are invited to my party, for example. And you can, of course, write a lot of stuff more if you want to. And now if I go here, as you can see, I'm all for all of them. Hello, Michael, you are invited to my party. Hello, Stephen, hello, blah. So I'm using it again and again. I need to get rid of this extra space, so I need to get rid of this space. And now if I go, everything's perfect. Voila. So loop allow us to do the same code again and again and again and again. And this for loop, that's the structure of for loop all the time. In for loop, you need the initializer or where we are starting. You need to tell your for loop where you are starting. So here, the structure is for, and then I will need to put everything between parentheses. And then here I will need a curly brace. That's what we call the body of the loop. You can see? Fine. So what is the first thing I need to add? Remember here, we have three statements. All of them are separated by semicolon, like that. We use semicolon, okay? Do not make any mistake. So the first condition, I need to tell my loop what is the initial value of I?
0.
We use I. Is it 0? It could be 0, it could be 1, it could be whatever you do. But most of the time we use 0. So I can say let I equal to 0. That means I'm starting from 0. I, its value, it will be 0. Then I need to put my condition here. How many times I want this loop to run? Let's say I want to run 20 times. 20 times. So if it's 20 times, I say as long as I less than 20. Why? Because I is 0, right? I is 0. Now when 0, it will run 1 time. 1, it will run 2 times. 3, it will run blah, blah, blah. When you get 19, it will run 20 times. Why 20 times? Because we are starting from 0 and not from 1. So it was this condition here. If I become 20, 20 is not less than 20, and my loop will stop. So you need to make sure this condition at some point it becomes false. Because if it does not become false, it will be infinite loop, and that's not what I want. And of course here, do I need to increment or decrement? Well, of course I need to increment. Why? Because I is 0. If I decrement by 1, each time I will have -1, -2, -3, minus blah, blah, blah. And all the time it will be less than 20. So I will have infinite loop. So I need just to say I plus plus. And here I can put with the code I want to run each time, whatever I want to. Is the structure of for loop is clear? What if you want to?
I was the third one, the third condition.
Third condition here,
Yeah.
I plus plus, if you want to decrement.
Why do we?
If you want to decrement, we can do that, of course, but it will be a little bit different. Notice, I will do the same, but using here the other way. I will say for let I, it's equal to 20. Why? Because here I will decrement, so I will have 20, 19, 18, 17, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's my condition. And the second one here now, when I want to this loop to stop, when I is equal to 0, right? Because when I is 0, I want it to stop. Because I have 20. 20, it will run 1 time. Actually, even not 20, it could be 19, it will work. 19, it will work as well. Either 20 or 19. 19 here, so I'm saying I is equal to 19, as long as I, so it will be greater or equal to 0. So I need to be greater or equal to 0. Why? Because now we'll see that. Let's put the third condition, and I say I minus minus. Voila, and that's my condition. Notice what will happen right now. Now we have 19, right? 19, well, of course 19 is greater than 0, so this condition is true. 19, it will be executed, then it will come here, I minus minus, it will become 18. 18 is greater than 0, right? So condition is true, it's going to execute it again. 18, 17, blah, 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 until we become a 0, and 0, it will be executed as well. Because it's 19 and 0, it will become 20. But when it becomes minus 1 is not greater or equal to 0, and the loop will stop. So as you can see, you have 2 different structures. You can use this way or this way, but this way is easier than this. But you can do it if you want to. You can decrement if you want. Yes.
And why it's I? Because
It's just iterator. From the name iterator. Iterator, that means it's loop again, iterator.
But I can use B.
You can use G, B, C, F, whatever you want to. It's just like the name of variable.
Okay.
But most of the time with loop, you use I. for iterator most of the time. Now sometimes we have two loop, one loop inside another loop. So we call the first one I, the second one we call it G. It's just like the convention, but you can name it whatever you want. It doesn't have to be I. You can let's, for example, Agnieszka is equal to 0. It's possible.
Can we declare it outside the loop?
Not zero.
No. You can, yes, if you can declare it outside of the loop if you want to, but that's not the structure. You mean this one?
Yes.
You can do it if you want to, but the structure here of the loop, all the time we use it this way. If you declare it outside of the loop, it will be more general. It will not be only specific. It will, now when I declare it inside the loop, it will be only I, it will be known inside the loop, and that's a good thing. But if you declare it as a general variable here, it will be global variable, it will be X everywhere. It's not always a good idea. Remember, that's the structure of the for loop. Is the idea clear? Someone? So again, for loop, we have, it's just like it has a structure. It's just like you have a name, you have a browser, you have a, for example, family. It's the same idea. For loop is the same idea. It has a structure. The structure is I need to write for, and then I need parentheses, and then curly brace. Curly brace, that's what we call the body of the loop. Now here in the parentheses, we need to add 3 different statements. They are separated by semicolon, as you can see. The first statement, I need to tell my loop where it should start. That's the starting point. So I say let I is equal to 0 or 10 or 20, whatever you want, depending on loop you want. Then I need to put my condition. You need to make sure your condition at some point in the future become false. If that's not the case, if this condition is always true, it will be infinite loop, and that's a really bad idea. And here, either you're going to increment by 1 or decrement. Simple.
Can I increment by 2?
Yes, if you want to. But if you decrement by 2, you say I, it's equal to I plus 2. Okay? Because I plus plus on I minus minus is only work with 1. It's only increment or decrement by 1. So we need to say I is equal to I plus 2 or I is equal to I minus 2.
And there is a shortcut? Like
There is a shortcut. The shortcut is not like that. The shortcut is I plus equal 2. That's the shortcut. It's not like that. This shortcut only to increment or decrement by 1. The shortcut is I plus equal 2.
It's gonna increment 2 times.
Yeah, it will be 2 times. So, for example, if I is 0, in the second iteration, it will increment by 2. It's really depend on your need. You can increment by 10, by 20. It's really depend what you want in your program. Is the idea clear? Super clear, someone know? So that's a for loop. What other loop do we have? For off and for in. What, Dinalo?
For in.
Yes, for off and for in. Now, for off, you need to tell me, I've told you before, what do you use for off with what we use for off loop? And for in with what we are using as well. Yeah. For off, we're using it with strings and arrays. String and arrays. For in, we use it with objects. So for off, we use it with string and arrays. You don't know what is an array yet, but it's fine. You're gonna learn it later on in the next module. Actually, maybe it's a good idea to explain arrays. I'll just give you a simple explanation. We'll study it later. So arrays and object allow you to store more than one value. What do I mean by that? For example, if I say let name, it's equal to Jack. How many values this variable has? Only one value, which is Jack. I cannot put more value. I cannot, if I put more value, it will be one string. It doesn't make sense. So I cannot put let name is equal to Jack, and then, for example, comma, I don't know, Ted, blah, blah. That's not going to work with JavaScript. So the simple variable or the primitive, which are Boolean, string, numbers, null, and undefined, they can store only one value. Okay, but reference types are complex. They can store multiple values. What do I mean by that? Well, let's see how we can create an array, and after that, we will see the for of loop. Okay. So I want to create an array of a student, let's say. How can I create an array in JavaScript? It's quite simple, actually. Const Let's say what student, for example, is it? Student equal to, I need now square bracket, and here square bracket. And here I need to put the name of the student. For example, Jack. And here I need to put comma. That's how we put it in the array. Jack, comma, John, for example, comma, Ted. So as you can see here, that's the name of my array. My array can hold multiple values, not just one value. Just one value, the second value, the third value, it can hold million value if I want to. Okay? So arrays can hold multiple values. That's fine, that's nice. But what if I want to loop through all these friends like that? Well, to loop through all of them, I need to use a loop. Okay? Well, after that, we will learn some another way, but for now, let's use the loop. So how should I do that? So I need to say, I can use for loop. So I say for, what is the first condition or the first statement? What is the first statement? Starting? Starting point. So I need to say let I is equal 0. Semicolon. What is the condition? How many times I want to loop? If I want to loop through the names here, the students, how many students do I have? 3. So I need to loop 3 times, right? So what will be the condition? As long as I less than, yeah, I can say less than, but I'm starting from 0, remember? 0 is one count. So 0, 1, 2. So as long as I is less than, which will be 3. Yeah, and for now, let's make it 3. And after that here, do I need to increment or decrement? I need to increment, of course. Why? Because I is 0, I want it to be 1, I want it to be 2, and 3, no, I don't want it to be 3. So I say I plus plus. And after that here, I can write whatever you want to in the body of the loop. But the problem here is, if I type 3, and after that I came here and I add another name, let's say T, that's another student. Now I have 4. And I need to loop 4 times, but here it will not loop, it will only loop 3 times.
Equal.
Hmm?
Equal. Less than or equal.
Plus 1,
to
you mean?
No, less than or equal to 3, no?
Yes, but the problem here, each time I change this one, I need to change my loop. Each time I change this one, I need to change my loop. I don't want that. I want my loop here, whenever I change something, to know that I changed something in the array. How can I do that?
Learn.
One by one, so I understand.
Because there you put cons, and cons is we cannot change.
But I don't, yeah, you remember something, I'm not changing in student. Student all the time is the
You're
same.
just adding.
I'm just adding something.
Okay.
I'm not changing. Here, I'm not changing. It's a good point. We'll explain later, but I'm not changing the variable. I'm just adding another part to the, it's just like a bag. A bag, I'm not changing the bag. I'm not moving it. I'm just putting stuff inside it. With arrays and object, you can't do that. Is there any way we know how many items inside our array? Yeah, we have something called array.length. Array.length, it will give me how many items inside my array. And we will learn it like, so instead of 3, I can be a little bit smart and I just say students dot length, just like the string. String also we have dot length and it give me how many items, how many character. Here it will tell me how many items here. So string dot length, how many? It's 3. And it's the same idea. Instead of putting 3 here, it will be 3. Now, if I add another name, it will automatically be 4. If I put 10 here, it automatically be 10. Well, and fix the problem. Do you understand it? Yes? No. So array has a lot of methods. Array is not something simple. When we study it, we'll spend a lot of time studying array. But now we need to remember in string and array, we have property. It's not a function, it's properties. If it's function, I need to add parentheses here like that. It's not a function. So the difference between property and a function, I need to put parentheses. Property, I don't need to. It's a property. And in here, if I put it here, it will tell me how many items inside my array. Simple. That's for loop. I can also use another loop here with array if I want to, and it's called for of. For of loop. So how does this one work? Amra, you're okay, Amra?
Yes.
Are you sure? So how can I do for of loop? Well, for of, it's quite simple actually. For const name or student, for example, because we have students, I can name it student. one student. For const student of students, which is my array, I will close it, and that's the body of my loop. And here I don't need to put any condition. It will loop through everyone. So I say for const student, that means for each student inside my array, and here I will put whatever I want. Is the idea clear? This one is much simpler than for loop, right? I will just say const, I will name, here I have students because there are many. Here I have one student. I can name it X if I want to. I can name it whatever I want to. That's just a variable here. For const students, that means one of them of my array, and then I want to do blah, 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 and it will loop through all of them automatically. Sorry?
Why it's called student?
Not late. That's a good question. Well, with for off loop and for in loop, it turned out each time this loop ran, actually, they create a different variable. So that's why here, if I say const, it will not affect, it will work. That's special case for off loop and for in loop. With for off and for in loop, you can use const. You can use let if you want to as well. There is no difference. But I prefer to use const. Only use for off and for in loop. Is the idea clear? We have another loop which is called for in. This is with object, but I don't want to explain object now. That's simply how it is. Is loops a little bit clear somewhere?
Yeah,
Do you want to do an example together?
maybe.
Let's do example. Theory now is clear, so let's do something fun. You are with me, right? Let's go to the Zen mode and like that, make it bigger. Voila. And let's start some coding. So let's first use the for loop here. So I have my array, which is friends, Michael, Stephen, Peter, and I can add more, depend what I need. I will use first the for loop, and then I will use for off loop. So to use the for loop, it's quite simple. All I have to do just simply, I will say for let I is equal to 0, as we learned, as long as I less than friends dot length. Friends dot length, it tell me how many items inside my array. That means 1, 2, 3. If I add another name, it will change automatically. For example, let's say John. Now here, if friend dot length, it will be 4 automatically. So I don't have to change it all the time. It was nice. I want to plus plus, and then I can just log the name of the friend. Yeah, I need to teach you this one here. To access each item inside the array, so if I want to access this one or this one is this one, the easiest way, it will be to put the name of the array and use bracket and then put the index. Index in programming always starts from 0. That means Michael has index 0. Stephen has index 1. Peter has index 2. And John has index 3. And so as you can see now, it will give me Michael. 1, it will give me Stephen. 2, it will give me Peter. And the last one, it will give me John. That's not only with arrays, also strings, the same idea. The string is also, I can access the string using the index. Same idea, exactly. Bracket and then as which index. Is the idea clear here? Perfect. So let's actually see the result of our loop and see what's going on. And as you can see, Michael, Stephen, Peter, John. Let's add another name to make sure it's working. Let's add, for example, do you have any other name? Lily? Which one? Agnieszka. Well, you are Agnieszka. I don't know how to type your name. It's E, Agni,
Now E,
like that.
S, Z, K. After S is Z.
Z, like Z.
After S, Z. Yeah, like that.
After S is Z, like that. My God, what a strange name. Anyway, Michael, Stephen, Peter, John, Lily, and Agnieszka, as you can see. So now it's flexible. My code here, I don't want to change. I don't need to change anything here. If I want to change anything in my array, my loop, it will automatically update it. And that's what the right way to do it in programming. Here, come here and remove this one and add, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and add 6. This is a really bad way because the array here, it's flexible. It can increase and it can decrease. So that's really bad way. Okay?
But if we have a project that we want to stay fixed to never move, we can put.
No, all the time use friend.links because all the its property is flexible property all the time. But most of the time in array, you don't want it to be fixed. because we use array because it's easy, allow us to add item and remove item. Most of the time they will not be fixed because our data in the program changing all the time. Let's say now I have one customer, I have an account for one customer. After a while, I have a second one, and then I have third one. So my array and object is the same. They need to be flexible all the time. Now let's use the other loop, which is for off, which is simpler actually, for const. Of course, here I have friends, right? What is a single of friends? Friend. So I just can say for a const friend of friends, can you log the name of the friend? And as you can see, same idea. And this one is much easier actually. Yeah. Remember this for off loop, we only use it with strings and arrays only. With object, we use another loop which is called for in. It's similar to this one, but we will study it later. Is loops are clear somewhere now? Tell me.
Let's find it like weird friends. This section. New. Oh,
For of is new?
yes.
So it's quite simple. This one is very simple. All you have to do, just you define a variable. And here your array is friends. What's the single of friend? Friend. So you can say for const friend of friends, and then you look what. And of course you can use here the value friend. So it friends, the first time it will be Michael, the second time it will be Steven, the third one it will be Peter, then John, then Lily, and so this is value changing.
So what happens if I say friends instead of friends in the possibility?
You add friends, yes,
Yeah.
it will just log your array. So it will not be single name, it will be the array totally. You got my point? Okay, is it quite clear now, guys? Nice, yes, Adil.
Change the about the not change.
If I change, you mean this variable friend? Well, I can name it X if I want to. But yeah, so here it must be the name of your array, and here you can name it whatever you want to. But remember something, when you write code, you are not writing code for machine only, you're writing for human. For example, now when I come here and I want to loop through friends, I'm expecting here, what is the single of friend? Friends, it will friend, right? So if I see my code here for const friend of friends, it's really easy for me to understand. But if someone came here and write X, I mean, I will say, what the hell? Why you are using X? I mean, we have friends, or single is friend, right? It's more logic. It's better for your code. It makes you a better programmer to use. It's better. You got my point?
If I put just those friends directly,
Just a second. Just because I don't understand what you mean.
I mean inside the parentheses.
Hmm.
If I can just post those friends, I mean same variable.
You say for const friends?
Yeah.
It won't work because here you have two variables. You already have a
So we have to create a new one.
Yeah, you are creating a new variable because you already have friends. So you're creating a new friends. It's not gonna work. You got my point? It doesn't make sense.
Samir,
Yes.
as you say, it's for strings and arrays, but if in array we have numbers, so it's possible to use.
Of course.
Okay.
It doesn't, when I say for string, I don't mean here string in array. So here there could be numbers. And let's add numbers. For anything it works. You did not get my, what do I mean, Agnieszka? I will show you now what do I mean. Here, let's add this number, all of them. And now here, if I go, voila. Simple. What do I mean by string? Not the string here in array, no. For example, let's take your name. Const name. It's equal to, your name is difficult, so I'll take John. That is the string we studied here. So we string, yes, it's surrounded by single quote or double quote. Now we string also, I can use for loop if I want to. I can say for const character, char for character. Character of name, console.log the character if I want to. And now if I go here, GOHN. So I can use it with string and arrays. Both of them, string is data type. I don't mean whatever inside the array. It could be anything inside the array. So with string, I also can use for off loop because I told you string is very similar to arrays. In many programming languages, they don't distinguish between arrays and string. Why? Because string is simply array or sequence of characters. So 1 character, 2, 3, 4, it's just like arrays. Yeah, it's look like different, but it's just simple like array. And also in string, I can access any character using the index, just like we did it in array. For example, I can log, if I want the first letter, that's not what I want. If I want to log this one and I say, for example, I want the letter of the first letter, so I can just say name bracket 0. And if I say name bracket 0, just like in array, it will give me JIF. And voila. So we can use indexes to access arrays and string. We can use for of loop with array and string.
We would like to have the last letter of the string, so it would be name dot length -1.
No, there's an easier way to do it. In Python, so in JavaScript is a bit different. In Python, you can use either positive index, so 0, 1, and the last one you can say -1. That's in Python. In JavaScript, unfortunately, we don't have this one. So in Java,
Last index of.
yeah, but I know, but that's what I'm saying. So in JavaScript, there is an easier way to do. How much the length of my string? 4, right? I want the n. So what I can do here, I can just say name dot length -1, and it will give me the last character. And voila. Because name length is 4 -1, here it will be 3, right? Remember, I told you the array and string start from the index 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So I need 3. Name length is 4 because it's 4 character. 4 -1, it's 3. And that's what I want to. Clear? Yeah, there is last index, but in Python, you don't, in Python, actually, if you want to access like that, you can add -1 like that. In JavaScript, we don't have this stuff. So you can use -1 to indicate the last character.
There is one built-up method last index of.
I'm sorry?
Built-up method.
Yeah, yeah. There is some built-in method for string, I know. But now I'm trying to make it simple. Is the idea clear? Do you understand now what loops, for of loop, we use it with string and arrays, and for in we'll use it later on object. Of course, when you study arrays, there's a lot of built-in method. Even in string, we have a lot of built-in method here that will help you make your life easy. Any other question I can explain? Anything I can explain? Something you did not understand? While loop, which is simple actually. I love while loops. So let's say something. For example, I have a name. Let's declare a variable const name. It's equal to nothing. I'm just declaring a variable called name. And now what I can say here, while true. Now, while true here, I have a problem, right? You need to be careful here. What is my condition? What is my condition? True. Is true, can true be false? Or it will always be true? It will always be true. That means my loop here is infinite loop. Okay, so how can I fix this one? That means I need to use break statement. Break allow me to break the loop. Do you get my point? So I need here to use a break statement. Okay, how can I use the break statement? It's quite simple. What I can say here, I can just say name. It's equal, it's const here. I cannot use it, so I need to change it to let. So I can just say name prompt. I can ask the user, please, what is your name? And here I can put a condition. I will say if name break. What do I mean if name break? Can anyone tell me what do I mean by if name break? True. But what if I just hit cancel, for example? I will have a null, right? If I have a null here, will it break or not? Why?
Not true, it's false.
Indeed, exactly. So it's related to truthsy or falsy, which we studied yesterday. I told you null, empty string, they are falsy value, both of them. So what happened here when JavaScript, when I enter just cancel, it will, the value of name, it will be null. And here when I say if null, JavaScript will convert null to truthsy or falsy. Null is falsy value, so it will be false, it will not break. What if I hit just okay without entering anything? It will be an empty string. Empty string also, it's falsy value. That means my loop, it will not be break at all. And now let's go and test our stuff here. So refresh, and as you can see, now I will be a little bit nasty. For example, I would try cancel. See, it's not allowing me. Okay, it's not allowing, but if I type anything, voila. See? And that's while loop actually. So the while loop is quite simple. It's just while you put condition, and as long as this condition is true, my loop is gonna go here. That's one way of using it. You can also do the same as for loop exactly. But most of the time, think of while loop if you don't know how many times. For example, here, I don't know how many the time the user click on cancel, maybe 10 times, maybe 1 time, or click OK, which is empty string. Here, I don't know how many times. So while loop, we use it most of the time when we don't know how many times it will be iterated, it will loop. But for loop, we need to know because for loop here has condition.
Array, so it will be always for loop. But if we don't have array or string, so it will be.
No, it's think of it. If you know how many times you need to loop, for example, in this one, I know how many times to loop. I will loop 4 times. If you know how many times you need to loop, it's a good idea to use for loop. But in here, I don't know how many times my loop is gonna loop because maybe the user is very nasty and he click cancel million times, for example. And like that, the loop, it will loop million times, maybe 1 time. I don't know how many times really. But with for loop, with arrays here, I know. With string, I know. So if you know how many times you're gonna iterate, because you need to put a condition here with for loop. So you need condition here. You need to know how many times you're gonna loop. So as long as I less than something, you need to know how many times you are looping. With while loop, you don't normally we don't know how many times. I can do something else, for example. I can say, for example, let me click on this one here. I can say let me take this one. No, actually, I will keep this one here inside. Say name, and here while name like that. While no name, for example, no name like that. I'm not sure. So I have let name, and I will say if there is no name, that's if the name is falsy or truthy. Now here, by default, it will be undefined the first time. Undefined is falsy value, not false. It will be true, so it will run. And then it will give a new value depending on the user input. If the user enters something, it will give me the value, it will break the loop. If not, so let's try to test this one. Let's hit cancel. Oh, it's infinite loop, as you can see. If I hit OK, same idea. But if I hit something and I say OK, stop. See? Want to debug it, this one? It's fun, huh? Let's debug it. Click. So as you notice here, if I now I'm in debug mode, it's quite big enough, right? So now let's go line by line here. I will use a step. Click. Now the value of the name is undefined. Why? Very good. So in JavaScript, if you have any variable, you did not assign any value to it, by default, the value it will be undefined. And if I hover over it, actually, it will give me, should give me undefined if I go to the next line. Now here, as you can see, undefined. Voila. Now undefined here, is it truthy or falsy value?
False.
You don't need to think of it. I told you the falsy value is only false value, only 5 actually. 0, empty string, and we have null, undefined, and none. So that's it. Everything else is truthy. So undefined is falsy value. So it is this one here, the name, it will be false. Not false, it will be true. And now here, if I click on it, and now it go here. Now it will ask me for a name. Let's enter cancel again. I want it to be null. So if I click cancel, now the value of the name here, it will still null, right? Now, because null here is falsy value, and here I'm saying not null, not false, it will be true. And it will go again. Ask the name. Let's try to enter now empty string. Well, empty string is falsy value as well, right? So false, not false, it will be true. So it will loop again here. But now if I enter a name, click, now it's changed. Why? Because the name here is a string. Any string which is not an empty string, it is truthy. Not true is, no, not true is, not true. Not true is false. Not true is false. Not false is true. Not false, it's true. It's the opposite. So not operator, I told you, is just changing it. If it's true, it will make it false. If it's false, it will make it true. So here we have false. I'm sorry, here we have true. Not true is false. And here it will stop my loop. Voila. Finished. Is the idea clear? See, everything is important here. Everything we study is important. Truthy and falsy value, while loop, for loop, everything we study is super important. You need to remember them. Any question here? Question, Rahma? Yes. Sorry? Did you hear your question? False, false value.
None, none,
So false value, we only have 5 false value. To test, if you don't remember, you can use this function or class called Boolean. And as you can see, if you type Boolean, it's give you have V. V does mean it's a function, so we need parentheses. And let's see here, false value, we only have 5 false values: 0, empty string, null, undefined, and none. So let's try to test them. 0, as you can see, it give me falsy. If I try with empty string, it will give me falsy. If I try with null, it will give me falsy. If I try with undefined, it will give me falsy. If I try with none, which is not a number, it will give me false. That's the false value only. Clear? Anything else, it will be truthy. But if you forgot at any point, you can use this function and check. It's simple. Question. Anything you did not understand? Now it's a good idea to ask if you did not understand anything. Thank you. It's early. Soumya, Rachel, if there is anything you don't understand, try to take advantage from my good mode and ask, because later on, if I ask you and you don't know, I will be in very good bad mode. So ask me now. Yes, please.
I saw something with the mirror, but I don't know where it was.
Oh, you have a problem with mirrors.
No, it was that we have to add something.
It's a delimiter.
Yeah, but we have to add orders.
So I think it will be the character delimiter character, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but me, I add a lot of things too.
I'll check it with you. I'll check. Mirror, I think. Just a second, let me check. Control Z. It's with mirror. Where is the mirror? It's in error unbox. Rodica?
No, I don't. I think we have two files with mirror.
Okay, so we've seen a primitive data type. Data types and example for primitive data type. Can you tell me what some example about primitive data type? So we have first string, then we have numbers, we have booleans, we have null, we have undefined, we also have big int and simple, but you don't use them a lot. So now let's go to the other data type, which is we call the reference data type or complex data type. So let's name them a reference data type. We have first array, we have object, and we have also functions. So what the hell is an array first? An array, as I told you, it can hold multiple value. It's not like a primitive type. Primitive type can hold only one value. Array can hold multiple value. For example, if I have a lot of, let's say const user. Let's say we have different user here. And user here, we have user 1, user 2, user 3, let's say, but here I will just name, for example. So John, Beth, Mike, blah, 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 blah. I can have as much as I want to. And as you can see here, my array can hold multiple value, not just one value. That's what we call array. Now, some of the property of the array, if I want to know, I can just use log here, and I can say, for example, users, the name of my array dot length. And length here, is it function or property? As you can see here, it's written property. A property, I told you, it's just you'll type it this way. A function or method, you need to put parentheses. Of course, if I now log this one, it will give me 3. Why? Because I have 3 items inside my array. For each one, we call them item. We have another property as well. You can access the first item in your array using the index 0, as you can see, bracket 0. The second one, bracket is the last one here. It will be user.length -1. That's the last one if you want to. Or you can simply just say 1 and 2. It depends what you need, 1 and 2. Of course, arrays has a lot of method. So for example, if I say users dot, as you can see, we have push, we have map, we have for each, we have join, we have a lot of method or function on the array. We're gonna see all of them because all of them are important. Okay, I will show you just one push. Do you know what push is doing? From the name, push, what is push doing? It's adding this item at the end of the array. Now, if I log my array, so let's just log my array at the end. Now, we will have William inside them. So let's remove those. We know what they are doing here. And if I go here and I see, as you can see now, I have William here at the end. So what push is doing here, it will push this item at the end of the array. Okay,
Why will you push and not just like add it to the array?
I'm sorry.
Why would you rather push it like this and not add it inside the users the array? I said, why will you do it like this?
Why I do it like, okay, that's good question. Sometime my array here, I don't know this value. So William, I don't know it. I need to grab some data from the backend to tell me this is the data. So I don't know my data. You get? So I need to wait, and then when I receive the data, I need to push them to array. So not always I have the data. That's the problem. I need to be able to manipulate my data because my data are changing all the time. So it's not all the time I have the data, and in some cases I need to push something inside my array, or maybe I need to remove something from my array, or I need to change something. So I need to know how to manipulate my data. So that's simply the array. The array syntax is super simple in JavaScript, just square bracket, and you can have string, you can have numbers, you can have null, you can have undefined, you can even have another array inside an array if you want to. Undefined if I want to, and I can also have another array if I want to inside this array. Voila. Now, what if I want to access the first item inside this array here, the inner array? What should I do? Well, it's quite simple actually. All I have to do, I just say log, and now I will access my first array, which is users bracket. What is the index of this guy here? Well, I need to choose 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5, right? So I will say 0, 5. That's for the first one. And now it will give me my inner array. And now if I want to access the first item, I will add another bracket. So bracket 0. And now here like that, as you can see, it will give me 1. So this one here, this one, it will give me this array. And I want to access the first item, so I will add another bracket 0 to give me the first item. Is the idea clear? Yana? No? So I want to access this item inside my array. Let's go step by step. If I log this one now, it will give me my array here, 1, 2, 3. Why? Because its index is 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The index of this array is 5. So if I log it here, it gives me my array here, 1, 2, 3. Now I want the first item of this array. So I need to say bracket 0. Bracket here outside, bracket 0. And now if I go, voila, give me 1. So that's simply an array. I won't go in deep, but I just show you what array is. Okay, and I want to see an object. What the hell is an object? I've never seen an object. I can say const person, same as array, but here the syntax is a bit different. I need to add curly brace like that. So the syntax for object is a curly brace. And all the property in objects, they are key value, key value. What do I mean by key value? For example, I can say name, it's John Doe. Age is 30. Hobbies, and now here I can have array inside array as well. So I can have array inside the object if I want to. Because hobby, I have multiple hobby, I cannot put in anything. I can put it inside an array if I want to. So as you can see, that's what you call key value, key value, key value. All of the time, that's the syntax of array. We have key value all the time, and they are separated by comma. Now, what if I want to log the name? What if I want only the name inside my object? I will just say log. I can say user dot. So if I say just person, sorry. If I say person dot, see, it's giving me the property I have. Name, hobbies, age. I want the name, just voila. So with object, we use the dot operator. With array, we can use the index. Fine, but I don't want that. I want the hobbies. Hobbies. And remember the hobbies, it will give me an array, as you can see. What if I want to access the movies? It's an array. What should I use? Index, indeed. So I can just say bracket 1, and it will give me the music. Voila. Or movies, whatever. Is the idea clear? That's what we call an object. And we've seen array. So object and arrays, they can hold multiple value. Not one value, a lot of value. Okay, that should be fine here. Of course, arrays are better than object. We need both, but array are better than object. Why? Because array allow us to manipulate the data more efficiently. So in array, we have a lot of method function building in JavaScript allow us to add element, push element, remove element. In object, we have also, but not like arrays. But both of them are important. Okay, let's see what is a function. What the hell is function? So a function, can anyone tell me what's a function? What is a function in JavaScript? Or in programming in general, what is a function? A reusable piece of code. So a reusable piece of, so I have some code, it's reusable. I can use it again and again and again and again. And you may tell me, what's the difference between loops and functions then? Well, loops running the same code exactly all the time, multiple times, but it will be the same code. But with function, no, they can be different. In function, I can run the function with different way. We have some parameter we pass into the function. Later we will learn it. Function is more efficient. In function, I can change stuff if I want to. So how can I create a function in JavaScript? We have many different ways, actually 3 different ways to create a function in JavaScript. I will go to the function declaration, the first one, function declaration. So I will just say function, and I need to add the name of the function. So I can say add, and here, let's say I want to add 2 numbers. I will say, for example, num1, num2. And you may tell me why I am doing that. What is num1 and num2? I need to return num1 and plus num2. Well, num1 and num2, that's what we call the parameter. In function, we have 2 steps all the time. We have something I need to declare the function. I need to tell what the function is. And after that, I need to use it. Here, what I'm telling here, okay, I have a function. My function name is add. And this function, it will take 2 parameters. So when I call this function, I need to pass 2 parameters. And here, what this function is doing, it will add these 2 numbers, and then it will give me the result. Return, it will return me the result. Now, if I want to use this function, add, for example, 1 and 2, of course, here I need to pass 2 numbers. Why? Because here in my function, I'm saying I'm passing num1 and num2 here. I need to pass 2 numbers. And now this function here, it will return 3. If I want to log it to the console to see it, I just can't do all of that, put everything inside the console if I want to. So I can just say log, and now I can put my function here inside everything. And now simply, if I go to the console, it will give me 3. Voila. Simple. I'm just logging it because I want to see it. That's it. Now, what if I want to add, now I'm trying to add 1 and 2, but if I add 15 and 20, will it work with it or not? Of course it will work. 15 and 20, and now it will give me 135. It's working. So that's the idea of the function. The function allow me to reuse a code. So I'm using the same function, but I can use it with many different number. Any 2 number, I can use it with it. And that's what makes function really reusable. Clear? That's the simplest function ever you can see, by the way. What if I want to, for example, I just need simple function which will log to the console hello and the name I want to. So let's create this function. I can just say function. Remember, the name of the function here all the time must be verb. So must start with verb. Why? Because function are action. They're doing something. So it must be start with verb. The name of the variable, they are names. They start with names. For example, number, stuff like that. But the name of the function all the time must start with verb. Here I will say hello. Say hello because my function, it will just say hello, for example, to any person. And if I have multiple words in my function, I need to use camel casing, of course. Here I need to pass the name, of course, as you can see as a parameter, and I will return hello, whatever the name. Now I can use this function if I want to. Instead of returning, I'm gonna log, I'm gonna log, okay? I don't want to return anything. I just want to log that, log, hello, stuff, voila. Now, if I want to use this, notice the first step, I'm creating the function, I'm telling JavaScript, this is the function, it will do that, it will do that. And the second step, when I want to use it, I need to call my function, again, the name of the function, and now here I need to pass whatever name I want to. And that's what we call the argument. Here it's parameter, here is argument. Same, but when we create the function, we call it parameter. When we call the function, we call it argument. And now here, if I say, hello, John, but now I can use it with multiple people if I want to, not with John only. So I can use it with a lot of people. Now here, see, 5 times John, but I can change it to Jack, to whatever I want to Jen, to Jimmy, whatever. I will just make 3. That's enough. Voila and voila, as you can see. Cool. That's simply a function. Yes. But you have to speak up because I barely can hear you.
Difference console log is hello name or return.
Console.log, it's just log to show me on the console. But returns, that means this function, when I call it, it will give me a value. Here now, in the console.log here, when I console.log, this function return nothing. It will return undefined. It will return undefined. That means if I now try to save this one in a variable, let's say const result, for example. If I log now const result, what do you think it will be the result? Notice that's my function. I'm calling my function. I'm passing John. What my function here return? What does the function return? Dinyando, not you. What does this function return? This function, what does it return, guys? It does not return anything. If it does not return anything, that means the return value, it will be just like variable. If I don't give it a value, the value it will be undefined. And now here, if I go and log the result, I want to log the result, log result, and it will be simply undefined. Not you, log, just log. Result and undefined, voila. But Agnieszka, now if I come here and I try to do the same here, let me remove this one. Let me not log it, but let me save it in a variable and then log it. Const result is equal to add to a number. And now if I log the result, it will give me how much? 30, 35. Voila. See? Because my function here, it returns something. So what this function is doing, it will return 35. And here, this function, it will return 35. And I'm saving this 35 value inside the result, simply like that. Sometimes I need that. I need whatever the function return. I need to save it a variable because I need it. If I need something from the function, I need to use return. If I don't need, I will not return. You got the point? We will study more in detail. I've just give you just introduction, but we'll study function in detail. Not all function we need to return stuff. Some function we don't need to return stuff. We can just log stuff or do something. But other function we need some results from. For example, add here. Yeah, it's adding 2 number, but I want the result here, so I need to return it. If I don't return anything, it will return undefined by default. Clear? And that's the basic of arrays, object, and function, which is a complex type or reference type in JavaScript. But of course, we just study the scratch here. We need to now to learn how to manipulate the data, how to use them, which will take at least 1 month, and we still have 1 month and a week. So we still have 1 month and a week, 5 weeks. We will just spend it on arrays, object, everything about JavaScript. How can we use them? How can we manipulate our data? Blah, 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 and stuff like that. How we can write a function, how we can test our function, because we need to test the function. If we don't test the function, we don't know if really the function is working or not correctly. Maybe when I log something, it works, but when I use it with, for example, yeah, for example, now here, my function here, in my function, I'm saying I'm passing 2 number. What if I don't pass 2 number? I pass 2 string. So I say, for example, I call my function and I say add. Let's say one of my colleagues don't know what the function do, and instead of passing 2 numbers, he passed 2 string like that, number is string. What will be the result here? It will be 12. And that's the problem. Why? Because let's say we're working with a user, and the user want to subscribe to our website, and he need to pay, for example, these 2 value. Now it's one, let's say he need to pay 120 euro. But if what we will get here, it will be 10020. So it will be actually 10,000, if I'm not mistaken, 10,020 euro. And like that, the user will just get a heart attack and will die. You get the point. So when we're dealing with money and stuff, it's super important. Here we have a bug. We need to test our function all the time. We will teach you in detail, but I just want to give you just a small introduction about this data type.
That's how the hacker gets rich.
Sorry? That's what?
How the hackers get rich.
Yes, indeed. There's many ways, but that's some of the ways. Yeah. I need to stop recording.